In today's lesson, we're going to introduce the idea of slope. You've seen slope in many different forms and may have even heard of it from last year in 7th grade, talked about as a rate of change. For the sake of this lesson, we're going to refer to slope in terms of a constant change. That is, we are looking for a pattern where there is a constant rate of change in a table or on a graph. Let's start with the table. If I draw a table that relates two different variables together, and let's say in the left column I place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the right column, the second variable, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Pause the video and ask yourself, what is the pattern that I see from slide to slide moving down in each column? Did you guess it? In the left column, as I move down from each term to each term, I am adding 1 plus 1 plus 1 to get the next term. In the second column, I'm doing a similar fashion, except from term to term, I am adding 2 plus 2 plus 2 and plus 2. If I then say that the two variables I have are x and y, I lend myself to being able to visualize this on an xy coordinate graph. Slope can be defined on a graph as the vertical change over the horizontal change from any 2 points that are on a line. So if I choose 2 points that are on a line, I can find the slope by saying what is the vertical change divided by what is the horizontal change. If I have a table, for example, that is x and y, the vertical change, as you know, is on the y-axis. So I can say that the vertical change is the change in y, and that the horizontal change is the change in x. Sometimes you'll see this represented as triangle y over triangle x, also read delta y over delta x. So, to figure out what the slope of this function is, even without graphing it, I can take a look at the change in y, which is 2, and divide it by the change in x, which is 1. Obviously, if I simplify 2 over 1, I can find that the slope of this function is equal to 2. Now, how does this help me, you might say? Well, how do we relate two variables together? The simple answer is we use an equation. But how can we relate x and y together in an equation? If we look back at our chart, we notice that there are patterns between x and y that exist. For example, to get from x equals 1 to 2, or from x equals 2 to y equals 4, what I have to do is I multiply by the slope 2 to the x value in order to get the y value. In other words, I multiply 2 to x in order to get y. In terms of an equation, that means y is equal to 2 times the value of x, or 2x. And there's my equation. Now we have a xy coordinate grid. I can find the slope of a function by choosing any 2 points on a line and finding the change in the vertical over the change in the horizontal. I've placed points here at 5, 5, 10, 10, 15, 15, and 20, 20. If you notice, when I connect these points together, they form a straight line. To find the slope of this line, I'm going to choose 2 points that are on this line. I'm going to choose 5, 5 and 10, 10. I then am going to say, what is the vertical change and what is the horizontal change between those 2 points. To find this, I draw a vertical line from the first point to the level of the second point. The length here is 5. I then draw a horizontal line from the endpoint to the final second point at 1010. The length is also 5, 5. Notice that this forms a right triangle. I now have a vertical change over a horizontal change, 5 over 5, which is equal to 1, and is equal of this slope of this line.